Welcome back everyone. Today we're doing something very different than what we typically do. We are doing a direct comparison. This is due to overwhelming demand for this video. Typically I do not do comparisons. I like each product review to stand on its own. However, I recently reviewed this guy right here. This is the Canik TTI Combat with the Terran Tactical Innovations goodness added to it, if you will. And previous to that, I've also reviewed this gun here, which is the Canik SFX Rival S. This is a steel frame version with the hard chrome finish. They also make one with a nitride finish. So previous to this gun coming out, essentially everyone agreed that if you wanted to go fast with a Canik, this was the one to do it with. Now, with the TTI version coming out, people are wondering which one they should get and the pros and cons of each, all of those sorts of things. So I suppose with that, we'll just kind of get right into it. This one being a steel frame gun and having a longer barrel definitely has a different feel to it. So the weight on this one unloaded, I believe is like 42 ounces, whereas the weight on this one unloaded is 29 ounces. So a considerable difference there in terms of weight. 10 ounces is nothing to joke about in terms of what you actually feel when you're firing the gun. We have a 5-inch barrel here. As you can see here, the actual TTI barrel goes out almost as long there, but not quite. And of course it is ported with that compensator out there on the end. So we do have more mass here on this slide, the way that it's cut, than we do with the Terran Tactical. So in terms of reciprocating mass, this is actually going to have a little bit more. However, of course, with the steel frame, it tends to settle it down a little bit in your hand versus the polymer frame that we have here. However, we do have that muzzle device, which will direct the gas up, therefore pushing the muzzle down, resulting in less felt recoil. Not less recoil, but certainly less felt recoil due to that gas being redirected. Now, the triggers on these guns are both phenomenal. Really can't be mad about it at all. We do have the flat face on both of them, and it does have that wide shoe. And they all have the aluminum triggers as well. They're two of the best triggers out there on the planet in terms of for striker fire guns. The thing that I would give as a con, if you will, for this one, the Rival S steel frame, is the grip texture. It's not that it's bad at all, because it's not. This portion here, which is the part that can be swapped out, is decently textured. The front is decently textured. However, when you compare it to what's going on here with the TTI Combat, it's just not quite as aggressive. Now, for some people, that may be a pro or a con. Like, for example, if you were going to conceal carry this, which I don't think anyone is concealed carrying these guns, but if you were going to, this would be less abrasive than this would. However, if you're trying to just kind of get on a gun and bear down on it and have the gun not move around at all in your hand, the grip texture here certainly is grippier, if you will, or more aggressive than what we have here with the Rival S. Let's load these up, take a couple shots, and kind of get the feedback live as we shoot it. We're going to start out here with the Rival S steel frame version. One thing I should note is that this comes with two 18-round magazines. As I said in the review here, I really think it should come with two 20-rounders to aid in removing your magazine if you do have a double feed malfunction. It doesn't come with that though, just know that. Whereas the TTI Combat comes with an 18-round as well as a 21, 22 round magazine as well with the TTI base plate. So we will load it up here. We're gassing up with 147 grain Minuteman munitions with both of these, and we'll see how they shoot. I'm gonna kind of just focus on putting rounds as fast as possible on the two front targets, and we have a target down there at 35. We're gonna ignore that. We have two here at 15. So let's see what we can do there. Just kind of keep it on. I mean, it definitely feels good. Let's get the TTI Combat. One thing I noticed when I grabbed this versus a steel frame is that the slide lock, slide release lever, in my opinion, has a little bit better texture on this one. I would imagine that's some of the TTI-ness, if you will, that Terran did with the research on this one. So let's see. So what I will tell you there is typically I double up with ear pro, but I didn't want to in this example because I wanted to hear the difference between the two. I just have regular earplugs in right now, and this one is notably louder, even outside. So if you were thinking about like home defense or something like that, that would be a consideration factor, at least for me. But take that for what it's worth. Additionally, obviously it's only one magazine, but I did miss targets with this one and I didn't with the Rival S, and I felt like I was going about the same speed. So I don't know, let's gas it up again and see. For this mag, I'm just gonna bear down on one target and see how fast we can get our follow-up shots. We'll start with the TTI on this one since we started with the steel frame last time. Just for reference, those are the 20-round mags that I think the steel frame should come with. Obviously, these ones have FDE base plate, but you can see there how easy it is to grab those in an emergency. All right, we're just gonna bear down. All hits. All right, let's try it with that steel. All right, same thing. We're gonna stay on just one target and see how she does. It's close. I got to give the edge to this guy. Just tracking the sights. That's another thing too. Obviously, we're going to talk about optics here in a second, but just tracking the iron sights on this one, we definitely had a flatter trajectory of the sights, at least what I perceived with my eyes. That said, it moved a little bit in my hand, whereas the other one didn't at all. Again, I think that has to do with the texture of the grip. I hinted at it just a second ago, but the next thing we want to talk about here is going to be the optics mounting system. So there's two major differences. Number one is that with our TTI version, you actually can remove this little piece here and still retain your rear sight. In my opinion, that is a superior system than one where you have to remove your rear sight to add an optic. That said, I am well aware from your comments that many of you guys don't want a rear sight if you're running an optic. So I suppose better or worse is just going to depend on your opinion on that topic. Now, the actual sizing of the optics, if you will, that work on there is also different. So the way they did the cut here on the Rival S is the way that Caniks have traditionally always done it, meaning that if you want to direct mount an optic with their plate system, typically it's going to be the smaller size red dots like the RMRCC or the Shield RMS pattern optics. And that's because if you guys look at the way the slides are done here on the Caniks, they come up like that. So you don't have as wide a surface across to mount like your traditional, like a Trijicon SRO, an RMR, an Acro, etc. Those normal size optics, full size optics, if you will. Whereas what Canik did and the way that they redesigned the optics mounting system is that they made a plate that essentially bridges all the way out to the widest part of the slide when you mount your optics. So what that does is it gives you the ability to mount really any optic that you can think of. All of your full size ones will work on there. Many of them, not all, but many will co-witness with these sights as well. So if I was to pick a winner in the optics mounting version of this comparison, if you will, I do think the TTI is superior. That said, I know many of you guys watching this will think the exact opposite. So again, I guess we can discuss that down below in the comments. I think this is going to be the last segment, if you will, of the video. And we're going to talk about the things we always do before closing videos out, the important stuff, if you will, like price, reliability, etc. Reliability on these guns, I know for sure this one's had 0 malfunctions. One thing to note is that this one does come with a separate spring for like low powered rounds. So if you're running like game competition, gamer stuff, they do have an option to run it with that lighter spring weight. To the best of my knowledge, I can't recall ever having a malfunction with this one either. So in terms of reliability, both guns have been super reliable. The vast majority of what we've put through both of them has been, of course, Minuteman munitions. Today it's been 147 grain, but traditionally it's been 115 grain. Ran a number of different hollow points through both of these guns and had no issues at all. So reliability has been really, really good. Both of these have over 1,000 rounds through them. Not a ton, but enough that if there was a problem, you'd probably see it. It would probably start to show itself. The actual iron sights themselves, if I had to pick one over the other, they're very, very similar. Obviously, we have blacked out rears and then fiber optic front. I think the rear sight has a little bit more space, which I like on the Rival S, but I do actually like the design of the TTI front sight a little bit better because it's narrower. Basically what I want is the ability to have a precision shot with these types of sights, and I think the actual Rival S does it a little bit better. But if you were to actually like combine the two, if you will, like put the front sight of the TTI on the Rival S. I think that would be the best sight picture. Regardless, both are very, very good sight pictures. No issues at all. I prefer a blackout rear and then something up front to draw my eye to it. Both of them achieve that very, very well. Price points. So when I made this video recently, I stated, I think the MSRP I think on this gun is like $949. It's somewhere in that ballpark. Don't quote me on that. And I said in that video, and I have been proven prophetic, I said, don't expect to see it for MSRP anytime soon. And my basis for saying that was this gun had been the previous, hot selling Canik. And this gun, until like literally the last couple weeks, I have not seen it at MSRP either. Now, the one good thing I will say, or I guess something to consider in a positive light, is that, again, this is the chrome version. This is the more expensive version. I have been seeing recently, if you guys don't follow me on all my various social media, particularly the non-Zuckerberg ones, I recommend you do, because that's where I post. Also the daily deals email. These things go out every single day, which we'll get to in a second, but I've been seeing this and sharing this on my social media, the nitride version, for like $849 lately, which again, it has all the same features, it's just not chromed. And I think that is a great value there for that gun. Whereas this one, again, I still haven't seen it at MSRP. It's been selling over MSRP the entire time it's been out. And again, I think that's gonna be that way for a while. Why? Because it's a lot of gun for the money. I said that in my video, and that still is the case. It hasn't changed since that review. Now, I suppose let's come down to which one would I pick and why? Well, I think it depends what I wanted to do with it, right? If I was a new shooter, which I actually don't think really applies to either of these guns. I don't think there's a lot of new shooters that are going for these. But if I was, let's say I just wanted a pistol to do everything, right? And I wanted to have it for home defense, concealed carry, etc. I would definitely pick the TTI. The reason for that is it's just lighter, right? So a roughly 30-ounce gun, you absolutely can carry it anywhere. I would obviously remove the magwell if I was going to use it in that role. The downside, of course, being that it would be louder in a home defense type of role. But for a home defense or a competition gun or something that I didn't have to worry about carrying, which one would I pick? I'd pick the Rival S. I would. Again, I wish it had the grip texture of this. There's pros and cons of both, but I would pick this one just because both of them are fast. They're both fast guns, but I think the Rival S is a touch faster. One thing I would think, if you wanted to make this gun even faster, is essentially make it the way it is and then shorten the slide a little bit, so that way you have less reciprocating mass. Kind of think of how like a lot of 2011s are, whereas with 2011, a lot of people think, and I am in this camp, that if you have a full-size frame, but like a 4.25 inch barrel versus a 5-inch barrel, those guns tend to track a little bit better on target. I would imagine the same would be true for this. That said, a lot of people like the 5-inch barrel for the added velocity and power factor for competitions. So pros and cons, like everything else. So I think with that, guys, I think we've covered everything on these two particular guns. I don't think you're going to go wrong buying either of them. That's where I'm at. But if I could only have one and I didn't, and I had like a separate carry gun, this is the one I would pick. If I didn't, then I would take the TTI. And like I said, I'm pretty sure you're going to do okay with either one of those. So that is it, guys. Like I said, I typically don't do comparison videos, but you guys beat me up for this one. So we're giving the people what they want, if you will. So if you like this type of video, definitely hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell as well. If you've done that and you're not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week here on the channel, sign up for my email at the website here on your screen. This email goes out once a month and it has all the videos since the previous month's email went out. So that way there is no big tech giant censoring your eyes from my content, because the email goes straight from me to you with all of my content in there that you guys can click on. Additionally, as I mentioned earlier, we have a daily deals email. So if these things go on sale, the ammo for it goes on sale, the optics for it go on sale, any of that type of thing, it goes out my daily deals email. If the item, whatever the item is, if it is in my email on that particular day, it's the cheapest I know of on the internet, because I've done the price comparisons for you. The good news for you is that saves you some money, hopefully saves you some time as well. And there's also a good Pro 2A meme in there that a lot of people like. So if you like Pro 2A memes, you can sign up just for that, and then you can get the deals as a bonus, if you will. So that's all I got for you guys. Thank you all for watching. I truly appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the next video.